The Tommy Campbell Show. Thanks for tuning back in. I'm Tommy Campbell, still bald, still in my basement, and today I'll be having a laugh getting into a J.D. Vance meme being displayed in Irish Parliament by Ivana Bocik after a tourist was sent back to Norway. Rfk Jr. gets absolutely destroyed by a real doctor, and we have an update from Mike Lindell. But first, the White House is pushing a Daddy's Home video that has MAGA rejoicing and sharing the absolutely cringe clip of Diaper Dawn's recent trip, with Lauren Boebert sharing it along with the flag for each of her brain cells. Daddy's Home is pretty creepy, coming from the Epstein-era frequent flyer that said he wished he could date his daughter. But I guess we shouldn't expect good judgment from the pinch-faced bikini car wash reject that married the indecent exposure ankle monitor weirdo. Trump is even selling merch. I'm not making this up, but there should be a version for Baron with a question mark. Subscribe. Mads Mikkelsen said he was detained after arriving at Newark Airport in New Jersey on June 11th for a vacation, held in a cell for several hours and asked questions about drug trafficking, terrorist plots, and right-wing extremism, totally without reason. To be fair, Mads Mikkelsen is a Bond villain, an Indiana Jones villain, and Hannibal, Trump actually thought that was a real person, and a fan of his. But we're not talking that Mads Mikkelsen. It was this Mads Mikkelsen. Just look at the terror oozing from this Norwegian beast. Way to go, Trump. You keep preventing tourist dollars from being spent. You stopped a hipster. He was hoping to visit a friend in New York and another in Austin. Instead, he was pressured to give his phone password to officers after being threatened with 5 years in prison or a $5,000 fine if he refused to comply.
Unthinkable in a Western democracy. This week, a young Norwegian tourist detained by ICE at Newark Airport and sent back to Oslo. Why? He had this meme on his phone, Minister. A meme depicting Vice President J.D. Vance as a baby. I mean, extraordinary, extraordinary. That a young person with this amusing meme on their phone depicting a public person, that this would be used as an excuse to detain him for 5 hours and then deport him back to Oslo. So, Minister, I welcome the Taoiseach's commitment to raise this serious issue with the US Ambassador. But as the line Minister for issuing visas, what can you do to reassure young people here who hope to travel to the US on a J1 visa but are fearful of this treatment?
Time is up, Deputy.
There's very little I can do about the US immigration system. Like, I'm trying to put rules in the Irish immigration system. I can't control the US immigration system. I think it is regrettable that these new measures are being introduced by the United States. I welcome the fact that the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach have indicated that they think it's inappropriate. We'll mention it with the US authorities. Hundreds of thousands, probably millions of Irish people have a great time on J1 visas. They're still doing it this year. They've done it in the past, and I think it'll continue into the future, Deputy.
I think a lot of people are going to rethink their travel plans. I mean, I love that she calls it an amusing meme, because it is. This meme is part of a series dubbed the J.D. Vance Babyface Edits. Actually, I have a meme mega thread on my Facebook that was created the last time some J.D. Vance meme drama crept up. People keep adding to it, and it's epic. Make sure you follow me there. Ivana was making the point that many Irish citizens travel to the U.S. on J1 visas for education and cultural exchanges, and that under rules implemented by the Trump administration, applicants must disclose all social media accounts they have used over the past 5 years so they can be viewed by U.S. authorities before any visa is granted. Do you want to give social media access to anyone? No. It's not like they can just thumb through things now for a second. They will use AI to scrape everything you've ever posted, replied to, or liked, and they'll do it in the blink of an eye. This is not keeping America safe, it's crashing the economy. Since Diaper Dawn's tariffs and trade policies, the U.S. has experienced a significant decline in international tourism. The World Travel and Tourism Council projects a 7% decrease in foreign travel spending in the U.S. for 2025, amounting in a $12.5 billion reduction. Assistant Secretary at the DHS told Newsweek claims that Mads Mikkelsen was denied entry because of a J.D. Vance meme are false. Mikkelsen was refused entry into the U.S. for his admitted drug use. Okay, I call BS on Trisha here. And again, it's crazy that you can have Snoop Dogg smoking a joint on stage at the Super Bowl, but claim to reject someone over drug use? Hello, Elon Don Jr. If you're an American, you cannot be denied entry to your own country. I say next time you're traveling, make this your wallpaper, okay? Imagine every person getting on a plane, on every Southwest flight, pulling out their iPhones for that mobile boarding pass and flashing the couch pounder baby meme. I made this show without any sponsors thanks to your tips, channel memberships, and merch. Please throw me what you can to keep this show going. But this wasn't the only awesome thing I saw this week. And again, points to Ireland. I love that this was brought up. I'm also an Irish citizen, and I love seeing the slagging. JD Vance is an Egypt. And RFK Jr. is too. Watch him get owned by an actual doctor.
As a pediatrician, I find that extremely alarming. So I thought we would talk a little bit about some vaccine-preventable diseases. Secretary Kennedy, and these are yes or no questions. Have you ever treated measles?
Do I what?
Have you ever treated measles?
No.
Well, I have. Let me tell you how miserable it is. These kids have high fevers, struggling to breathe, and they are crying. They suffer. Great news is that there is a vaccine to prevent it. Secretary Kennedy, again, a yes or no question. Have you ever treated bacterial meningitis?
No.
Well, I have. These babies are so sick. They come into the ER with high fevers, they are floppy, and we have to figure out why. Do you know how we figure out if a baby has meningitis?
Excuse me?
Do you know how we figure out if a baby has spinal meningitis?
How many babies?
I'm going to explain how we figure out and determine if a baby has meningitis.
Okay.
We insert a needle between vertebrae until the fluid that surrounds the spinal cord drips out into a test tube. It's called a spinal tap. We used to do lots of them. Fortunately, we don't have to do very many of these anymore because we have 3 vaccines that prevent childhood meningitis. These are miracles. Secretary Kennedy, yes or no, have you ever treated pertussis or whooping cough?
No, I've had it.
Well, I have. And in infants, in fact, the one I treated, weeks old, came in because the baby just stopped breathing and turned blue. Let me tell you how scared those parents were. And I've treated a bunch of older kids with it. They cough so hard, they vomit. They run out of air. They break ribs. And if you don't catch it before 2 weeks, antibiotics don't even work. They cough for months with broken ribs, and that is why it is called a 100-day cough. But you know what's great? There's a vaccine that prevents this. Of course, here's the thing. Vaccines only work if you actually give them. And we know your record on this.
Dumb Kennedy struggles to even understand the basic question, how many babies? And people are actually getting medical advice from this former heroin addict that got brainworms from eating roadkill, kept a sex diary that drove his wife to suicide. This man has no medical background. He just has the name Kennedy, and he's used that to his advantage for years, even though his entire family can't stand him.
Well, people will still get indemnified for it to the extent that they're already indemnified. But, you know, it is an issue. It's a balance. You're going to see probably slightly more cavities, although in Europe, when they banned fluoride, they did not see an uptick in cavities. The issue is parents need to decide because the science is very clear on fluoride.
In Europe, people don't have double gulps and Cheetos for breakfast. They do consume a lot more actual food, and they have comprehensive dental care, widespread use of fluoride toothpaste, and strong public health measures. Water fluoridation alone doesn't determine whether or not you'll get cavities, but removing it is not going to help. Not everyone can afford dental, and low-income people are going to suffer. You know, I've made a living as an artist for well over 20 years, and trust me, I've had my ups and downs. I've had to suffer through sore teeth for ages because visiting a dentist was not an option. In fact, my dentistry was finally seen to when I lived in the UK. I know England gets a bad rap for teeth thanks to Austin Powers, but the dentistry there is affordable and fantastic, and even low-income families in the UK may qualify for free NHS dental treatment.
Will be joining us momentarily along with Dr. Douglas Frank, who we have joining us today. Dr. Frank, good to see you.
Likewise, good to see you too,
Mike.
Vanessa. And I see Mike, he's on. That's great.
Yes, it's Mike.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Dr. Frank. I want to tell everybody before we get started with the trial, and thanks, Vanessa. I had some problems getting on here. You guys, with the trial in Colorado, where My Pillow got a huge win. I don't know if you've all seen it or read about it, everybody, but
Did Vanessa just crawl out of a balloon crash to do this broadcast? What is that outfit? And it looks like instead of squishing her box, they've shoved her box to the left today. It's nuts that Lindell is back with his purple puppies claiming victory when he had to pay over $2.3 million in damages, but I guess it's much less than the $26.7 million sought by Coomer's attorneys, but it's still $2.3 million, and this guy doesn't have anything left.
Justifies that you're not doing defamation. You really believe this?
Well, yeah, but the judge had already said, I did get there's no malice or whatever. They ruled out all that, but the judge had already told him these are defamation statements.
Yeah,
she already told the jury that. She made a pre before they even went to trial. She already said this is defamation. Now you got to figure out, did he do it on purpose, malicious, all this stuff, which they said I did, but.
Even after Dr. Bowtie calls it defamation, even after Lindell's corrected in court, he still calls it deflamation.
1 in 100 trillion infinity would be a 1 in a super trillion.
I just love all these numbers, especially super trillion. Maybe that's how many supercells are in America right now. Now, by comedy law, whenever Lindell talks math or maths for my UK viewers and my wife, I have to play this clip.
Brandon, I took calculus. The one thing I'm pretty good at, I took calculus in 9th grade. I said I took calculus in 8th grade. I said I was a professional card counter for part of my career. And I may have been an ex-crack addict and stuff, but I did take calculus in 8th grade. I can glance down my throat, glance down
Grants down, calculus, can't even get the grade right. Was it 8? Was it 9, Mike? I don't know. Well, my son finished school yesterday, and I was talking to the principal early in the week because he's the new principal. And when I was picking up my son from school, I said, last year, the principal played Alice Cooper on the PA after the bell went on the last day, and it was awesome. And he said, I'll totally do that. And I was like, right on. So I'm waiting outside to pick up my son. All the parents are there. It's the last day. We're not allowed to go in. It's weird. You all have to wait outside the school. And the bell goes, and then you hear the crackle of the PA, and I'm like, yes. And Alice Cooper immediately plays. Now, I was expecting School's Out for Summer, but he played Only Women Bleed. I don't even think he knew there was a school-related song. I just suggested Alice Cooper, and he's like, yeah, it's the last day. I'll play Alice Cooper. If I had said play Kanye, he might have been like, yeah, I'll play Kanye. He probably would have played that song. Sorry, not getting my information from bald men on YouTube. 2 words, YouTube. But that's not even the best bit. And even I'm a bit amazed at this one because this person doesn't like bald men. But don't all men have balls? Do you seek out tips from empty sackers? Is that why you love Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Fox News? Magateers. You are pure misinformation. God bless Donald Trump and Mike Lindell. Get me a hose because we're going to need to turn on the misinformation to fight all the defamation across the nation. I say it again and again. The stupid is compounding and the evidence is right here. Magateers. Absolutely cringe clip of Diaper Dawn's recent trip with Lauren, sharing it along with a flag for each of her brain cells. The basic question, how many babies are we counting? Babies? Are we... Still bald, still in my basement, and today I'll be having a laugh getting into a JD Vance meme displayed in Irish Parliament. Now, by comedy law, whenever Lindell talks math or maths for my UK viewers, and my wife, she's up there somewhere. She's not dead, that's the next floor. I was on the road a week ago doing a few shows with Jim Jefferies, and I put out a behind-the-scenes backstage tour video for members. If you haven't joined, it's less than $3 a month for extra videos, a badge next to your name, custom emoji. It all helps this show get made for less than the price of a cup of coffee. Hit the join button now and help this show happen.
The Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube, and I hope you subscribe.